Amazing job. I think he's probably got the toughest skin I've ever seen, and I think he's a terrific guy. I know Hillary, and I know her husband very well.
Stop scrolling, because a single leaked email just exploded the entire Epstein timeline. And if what it says about Trump and Bubba is even halfway true, then everything we thought we knew about this case is a lie. This isn't a rumor, this isn't a meme, this is the part of the story they do not want you to hear. Stay with me, because the next 10 seconds will change how you see all of them. We really need to unpack this whole Bubba situation, because this is one of those stories no one expected to resurface. By now, you've likely heard the buzz about a leaked email connected to Epstein that claims Trump supposedly got on his knees for someone referred to as Bubba. Since Bill Clinton has carried that nickname for years, the internet immediately made the connection. But Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark, quickly jumped in to say that Bubba wasn't Clinton at all, and that the nickname actually belongs to a private individual. What he didn't address, however, was the part about Trump kneeling for someone. Then, in a twist straight out of a surreal novel, online chatter appeared claiming one of Epstein's associates even had a horse named Bubba, which only pushed the rumor mill into overdrive. And with DL adding his own commentary, it became obvious that the internet had no intention of letting this one fade quietly. If you've also noticed the term Donica Lewinsky trending and wondered what sparked it, here's the context. One of the recently released emails from Mark Epstein mentions Trump performing a sexual act on Bubba, and Mark even asks Jeffrey whether Putin ended up with photos of the moment. The way the email is worded makes it sound like Mark believed the photos were real and was only unsure about who had access to them. Since Bubba has long been used as a nickname for Bill Clinton by friends, staff, and media outlets dating all the way back to his 1992 campaign, theories erupted immediately. People began asking whether this rumor was really suggesting something happened between Trump and Clinton, especially considering Trump frequently insulted Hillary but continued to speak fondly of Bill in interviews. That speculation opened the door for endless memes, jokes, and a new nickname born from the chaos: Donica Lewinsky, a play on Monica Lewinsky's name and her infamous 1990s affair with Clinton. Their relationship began when she was 22 and he was 49, and the scandal made Monica internationally known almost overnight. Some fringe theories have even suggested she might have been used as a setup to compromise Clinton, a narrative fueled in part by the fact that Epstein reportedly owned a painting of Clinton wearing Monica's blue dress. Once the Bubba rumor spread across social media, people resurfaced an old photo from 2000 showing Trump being physically affectionate with Clinton, and judging by Clinton's expression, he didn't seem bothered by it. As for Trump's reaction to all of this resurfaced Clinton and Epstein chatter, he was recently filmed snapping at a female reporter who questioned him about Epstein's emails, dismissing her questions, calling her piggy, and insisting he knew nothing about any allegations involving girls.
Quiet. Okay.
Mr. President, what did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, that is Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people they spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw strike because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all.
Now here's where things get even more tangled, because the contradictions in this situation keep folding in on each other like a political origami project gone wrong. Publicly, Trump has maintained, loudly, consistently, and with that trademark certainty, that the entire Epstein-related scandal is nothing more than a fabricated Democrat hoax. According to him, the whole thing was engineered by political opponents who supposedly slapped together accusations the way some people toss leftovers into a microwave: fast, sloppy, and meant to feed the outrage machine. He's also insisted that a handful of Republicans only play along because they're weak, scared, or trying to avoid the wrath of the press. That's the narrative he pushes: clean, simple, and convenient. But as soon as you stack that against his more recent statements, the picture starts to wobble. Because if this really is a hoax, why is he suddenly talking about investigating Clinton and various people who were close to Epstein? If the whole thing was invented by Democrats, why bother digging into anyone at all? Why call for probes, new hearings, new document releases, or renewed scrutiny of the very figures at the center of the allegations? If you take him at his word, this should all be vapor. Nothing to investigate, nothing to uncover, and certainly nothing requiring the attention of federal agencies. Yet there he is, talking about wanting to open up the Epstein circle again and take a fresh look at the people Epstein surrounded himself with. It's this internal contradiction that has left even Trump supporters confused and critics pointing out the inconsistency. On one hand, he wants everyone to believe the story is a complete fabrication, a political weapon manufactured to wound him. On the other hand, he's nodding toward investigating Bill Clinton and others, something that only makes sense if the allegations have some amount of substance. You can't have it both ways. If the scandal is fake, there's nothing to investigate. If there is something there, then it's not a hoax. That tension sits at the center of this entire conversation, gnawing at the edges of the narrative. And we can't forget the episode with the binders, an entire saga of its own. Not long ago, Trump handed out thick binders to several MAGA influencers, telling them that these were the real Epstein files, the real evidence, the real dirt that the American public supposedly needed to see. He hyped those binders up like they were some kind of holy grail, pages of secrets waiting to burst open and reshape the conversation. Influencers posed with them, teased their contents, and announced they'd been given exclusive access to material other people had never seen. Now, whether those binders actually contained anything meaningful or whether they were just props to energize the base is still an open question. But the point is this: you don't hand out binders and call them the real Epstein files if you also believe the entire thing is imaginary. You don't claim a scandal is a hoax while simultaneously distributing documents you call the real deal. That contradiction alone could fill an entire documentary. On one hand, Trump wants to discredit the scandal. On the other, he wants to weaponize it against his rivals. He wants to say the accusations against him are fake, while simultaneously implying the accusations against Clinton or others are very real. This selective reality creates a kind of political funhouse mirror. Everything is true when it benefits him, but fake when it doesn't. And then comes Pam Bondi, Trump's own attorney, a loyalist, someone he has relied on repeatedly to defend him publicly. Back in February, Bondi confidently stated that the actual files, the ones people have been demanding for years, were sitting on her desk. She said it plainly, as if the matter was settled, as if she personally had the documents people had been begging the government to release. That statement alone throws yet another wrench into the narrative. Because if Trump's team had the files, and if those files were real and sitting in Bondi's office, then how does the hoax argument make sense? You can't claim the scandal is fabricated while simultaneously bragging that you're in possession of the real evidence. You can't call it a Democrat invention while your own attorney is talking about having the authentic paperwork ready to go. If the files are real, then the scandal isn't fictional. If the scandal is fictional, then what files is Bondi talking about? The dissonance is impossible to ignore. This back and forth, this tug-of-war between it's all fake and we have real evidence, is what keeps the public so confused. Supporters hear one thing one week, and the opposite the next. Critics latch onto every contradiction. Commentators dissect every quote. And meanwhile, ordinary people watching this unfold feel like they're stuck in the world's most chaotic group project, where half the team insists the assignment doesn't exist while the other half is presenting PowerPoints on it. And then there's another layer. Trump often uses the term hoax the way some people use the word annoying, liberally and broadly. He's labeled multiple investigations hoaxes, including several that later produced documented evidence, legal consequences, or verified information. Because of that pattern, his use of the word has lost precise meaning. Critics argue that when he says hoax, what he really means is story I don't want to talk about, or story that paints me negatively, rather than story that has no factual basis. Supporters, on the other hand, take hoax literally and believe the entire situation evaporates with a single word. The gap between those interpretations only magnifies the confusion. In the broader context of public discourse, this inconsistency matters because it shapes how people interpret events. When a political figure simultaneously claims a scandal is fake and real, meaningless and worth investigating, bogus and yet supported by files, it creates a fog that allows all sorts of narratives, true or untrue, to thrive. People fill in the information gaps with speculation, theories, or whatever explanations resonate most with their worldview. And in the case of Epstein, where secrecy, power, and serious allegations already loom large, those gaps become enormous. So here we are, left with a messy web of statements. It's a hoax, but also worth an investigation. It's fake, but also documented in binders. It's made up, but also sitting on Bondi's desk. And until Trump or his team provides a coherent explanation, or until the actual files are made public, this contradiction will continue to fuel confusion, speculation, and endless debate.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these.
Circling back to the Bubba saga, comedian DL Hughley has now jumped in to poke fun at Trump over the whole situation. He couldn't resist taking a jab at the rumor, and even worked in a joke about Trump's recent claim that he wants a football stadium named in his honor. Hughley basically treated the Bubba story like fresh comedy material, and the internet wasted no time running with it. Now, let's get into another theory that's been spreading about this mysterious Bubba. According to some online chatter, Bubba might not be a person at all. It could actually be a horse. Here's how that idea even surfaced. Once the rumor about Trump and Bill Clinton started gaining traction, Mark Epstein released a statement insisting that the Bubba mentioned in his email was not Bill Clinton but someone else entirely, someone who isn't a public figure. He didn't clarify who that person supposedly was, and, just like before, he made no effort to deny the insinuation about Trump or the possibility of photos existing. The only thing he firmly stated was, for the avoidance of doubt, the reference to Bubba in this correspondence is not in any way a reference to former President Bill Clinton. A spokesperson doubled down, saying Bubba was a private individual, and when people reached out for further details, Mark declined to give any additional explanation, which, honestly, raises even more questions. But while everyone was trying to decode that statement, the internet discovered another twist. Reports claiming that Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime associate who is now serving a 20-year sentence, allegedly owned a horse named Bubba. That revelation poured gasoline on an already chaotic rumor cycle. Meanwhile, the Trump team has dismissed all of this as nonsense. They released a statement saying Democrats and the media are using the story as a distraction to avoid talking about what they call the administration's victories, including the recent shutdown standoff. According to them, they're staying focused on their political agenda and refuse to be sidetracked by what they insist is a fabricated controversy. Still, for many people watching this unfold, the humor stops there. This isn't just about memes or a weird nickname. The deeper situation tied to Epstein's network involves extremely serious allegations, victims whose lives were destroyed, and powerful individuals from multiple sectors: Republicans, Democrats, billionaires, executives. No one believes that tossing a few strange emails into the public sphere is going to make everyone forget what might be in the larger set of files. This isn't a tabloid rumor you erase with a news cycle. These are accusations of serious crimes and the possibility of a global web of abusers. That's why so many people are warning others not to get distracted, not to let the story fade, and not to stop pushing until everyone involved is held accountable. As for the Bubba rumor itself, people online can't decide which scenario sounds more absurd: Trump and Clinton being involved, or Trump and a barn animal. Neither scenario people are joking about online paints a flattering picture, and honestly, if any photos connected to this rumor truly existed, most people would agree they'd prefer not to see them under any circumstances. Regardless of the speculation, if even a fraction of this has any grounding in reality, that's exactly the kind of thing law enforcement, not the internet, should be handling. No one needs those images floating around social media, turning into memes, or being twisted into clickbait. At that point, it wouldn't even be about politics or entertainment anymore. It would be about something that crosses legal, ethical, and human boundaries. And that's where the conversation shifts from gossip to something far more serious. But when a story like this hits the internet, especially one involving big names, mysterious emails, political tension, and a nickname vague enough to fuel endless interpretations, people naturally start asking questions. And that's where you come in. What do you make of this? Do you think there's any substance at all behind the email mentioning Trump and Bubba, or do you see it as just another bizarre moment in a long line of viral political rumors? Some people believe the email is being blown out of proportion. Others think it's a breadcrumb in a much larger puzzle, one that the public has only begun to see pieces of. Another group believes the whole thing is a distraction, a sideshow designed to divert attention from more important or dangerous information in those long-awaited files. And then there are people who point out that with so many powerful figures entangled in Epstein's orbit, Republicans, Democrats, celebrities, business leaders, it's impossible to know what's real, what's exaggerated, and what's being strategically leaked or denied. For example, one of the biggest questions surrounding the story is the identity of Bubba. Online discussions have spun off into dozens of theories, ranging from Bill Clinton to a private associate to a horse to someone no one in the public has ever heard of. Each explanation leads down a different rabbit hole, each with its own implications. If Bubba refers to a private individual, why is their identity being so carefully shielded? If it refers to someone famous, why deny it so adamantly? And if it refers to an animal, as some online rumors suggest, why was the email written in such a vague, ambiguous way? Of course, rumors often take on lives of their own, and the internet has a talent for creating chaos out of even the smallest detail. But the confusion around Bubba shows how easily a single nickname can ignite massive speculation. Then there's the broader question: will the public ever get the full truth about the files? That's the part people debate the most, because history hasn't exactly inspired confidence. High-profile cases involving powerful individuals rarely get transparent conclusions. Documents get sealed. Names get redacted. Investigations stall. Court orders vanish into legal limbo. And the public is left feeling like they only ever get filtered fragments rather than the whole story. With the Epstein case specifically, so many documents have already been locked away, sealed, or delayed that people expect the pattern to continue. Add in political division, media narratives, and the conflicting statements from people connected to the case, and it becomes even harder to imagine a future where the truth is laid out in full without edits, omissions, or convenient redactions. What makes this moment different, though, is the public pressure. The Epstein files have become one of those rare topics where people from all political backgrounds are demanding answers. Conservatives, liberals, independents, they all want transparency, even if for different reasons. It's unusual to see this level of bipartisan agreement on anything, but in this case, the common thread is simple. People are tired of feeling like there are two justice systems, one for ordinary citizens and one for the wealthy and well-connected. Every new rumor, every leaked document, and every conflicting statement only reinforces that frustration. And that's why conversations like this don't die quickly. When something touches nerves this deep, when it involves potential crimes this serious, and when so many prominent figures have ties to the situation, the public refuses to let the story fade quietly. Even if the Bubba rumor turns out to be meaningless or wildly misinterpreted, the underlying questions driving the interest are real. People want to know who knew what. They want to know who was involved. They want to know if the investigations were thorough, or if they were cut short to protect reputations. And they want to know whether justice will ever reach the places it has historically struggled to reach. So while the Bubba story might be the bizarre headline of the moment, it's really just a small piece of a much larger conversation about accountability, secrecy, and the uncomfortable intersection of power and exploitation. Whether you think the email is a joke, a misinterpretation, a coded reference, or a genuine piece of evidence, the fact remains that the public is desperate for clarity that has been withheld for years. And that brings us back to you. What's your take? Do you think the Bubba reference was blown out of proportion, or do you think there's something behind it? Do you believe these rumors reflect deeper truths hidden in the files, Or do you think they're distractions from the real content the public should be focusing on? And at the end of the day, do you believe the complete truth will ever come out, or will the answers stay buried behind sealed documents and redacted pages? Whatever your opinion, one thing is certain. This story isn't going anywhere. Not today, not this week, and probably not for a long time. Because when something touches the highest levels of power, it rarely ends where it begins. And this conversation is only getting started.